here are the 3 biggest mistakes that new entrepreneurs, especially Christian women, make when they first start charging for their services. Now, I have 3 that I wrote down, but before I get to these, I want to get to a bonus one. And by the way, hello, my name is Angel Santos. I'm a Christian empowerment coach, and I help women start and grow service-based, mission-led businesses that glorify God and change the world to some capacity. So if you want content around starting and growing a business, if you want content around personal development from a biblical perspective, then please like and subscribe for more. Now, before I get into my 3 teaching points, let me give you my quick bonus one. One of the biggest mistakes, and I am absolutely speaking from past experience, that Christian women entrepreneurs make when they first start charging for services in their business is they don't. So if you've ever given away your service, if you're giving away your service now, you are not alone. You do not have to feel bad. You have the heart of a servant, or you were told, taught, or conditioned to have a heart of a servant, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's also nothing wrong with having the heart of an entrepreneur, right? So that's the bonus one. Been there. You can hear about that in other videos. Now I'm going to give you the top 3. Now that we're all clear that not charging, not okay. Even if you're a nonprofit, but I won't go down that road, not in this video. Okay, so the first one is we overload. We overload what we offer. So in our heads, we feel better about charging whatever price we have. And I know I've done this. My first coaching client, I only charged her, I want to say maybe like $500. I think it was like 3 to 6 months of coaching, weekly calls. I was driving to her. It was all kind of way too much. I think she had a VIP day. Like, I gave her a probably almost a 5-figure package for $500, right? That made no sense. It was heavily overloaded. But we do that for a few reasons, right? Part of it is because we want to make sure they see the worth and the value, and we're scared that if we don't overload it, then they won't pay, which is actually a scarcity issue. It has nothing actually to do with them. We think it does, but it has more to do with us, right? Not okay. When you go through McDonald's, if you pay for a $5 meal, you know what you're going to get? A $5 meal. You're not going to get, 3 different meals for $5. And this is at McDonald's, right? When you go to a steakhouse, a Brazilian steakhouse at that, they're going to continue to bring out delicious, freshly grilled meats. And the price reflects that. So I won't go too long into this, but all you need to do is make sure that what you're offering reflects the price, and the price reflects what you are offering. There's a difference between helping a friend and having a business. Okay, we're going to move on. Too cheap. So not only do you overload it, it's also included. By overloading it, you make it too cheap. And here's the thing, you don't want to build a business based on price, because there's always someone lower, right? If you don't want to go to Amazon, you can go to Shein. If Shein gets a little pricey for you, you can go to Temu. If Temu is too pricey, you can go to AliExpress and order it directly from China. You don't want to be a bargain chaser thinking I'm going to price it low so they will buy, because let me tell you, it's always someone lower. But when you price it on value, when you price it on what you specifically bring. For instance, so many people, a lot of times when I speak, I will ask everyone who has an iPhone to raise their hand. At least half the room, in every room I do this at, they raise their hand. Then I ask everyone who has a Samsung to raise their hand, because those are the 2 largest brands. And then I talk about how people think people buy on price, but it's not actually true, because if we actually bought on price, then the majority of people would have the cheap phones from Family Dollar. They have $19.99 cellular devices at every Kroger and Walmart I have been to, but we don't actually buy on price. That's why Starbucks is a growing company, because we buy for different reasons. We buy for convenience, right? To save time. We buy to add pleasure, and we buy to avoid pain. So you just figure out which, if not all, of those categories does your service fit in, and you own it. Whatever God gave you, you own it. My clients often say they like to work with me because they go further faster and they feel better along the way because they're not alone. They have an expert guide, right? So not only does my service add pleasure, but it saves them time from spending years figuring it out on their own. I've already done that. So what does your service do? Because when you have clarity on that, it's so much easier to not cheapen your prices, right? Cheapen your services. And when I say cheapen it, I don't mean what you provide is cheap. I mean the price tag you add on it is too cheap. And then the last one is you don't own your value, right? And if you notice, each one built upon the other. Are you clear on how you are impacting their lives? Because let me tell you, you are. I'm very clear on how I impact their lives. I like to say I help people fund their calling, really, because I believe that every Christian woman entrepreneur, regardless of what business idea God has given you, is basically a modern day Joseph. Joseph in the Old Testament grew to very, very much like he was very wealthy, right? He had a high position right under Pharaoh, a lot of influence. People talk about influencers, right? But he had so much influence, so much power, so much position, so much wealth, and it was so God could use him to save a nation of people from famine. So whatever it is, whatever your position is, whatever your power will be, whatever your wealth will be, I know that God is going to use it for his glory in some capacity. So I'm just here to get you there, right? That's my job. And I know your life will change. I know your life will change because my life has changed in so many ways. And the freedom, the flexibility, the money, those are great. Not going to undermine it, but they are a byproduct of just walking in my calling, right? Of first, just being a believer in Jesus Christ. Of second, then being here to encourage his people, right? And then my assignment is to support the modern day Josephs. So it is so important to own the value of what you do, right? Because, and you may think like, oh, I don't want to be arrogant, or, I don't want to be boastful. If you don't own the value of what you offer, you actually lessen the results that your clients will get, right? If you believe in what you have to offer, if you believe in what you're selling, if you are convinced, if you are certain that you can help them, then that certainty will help them know that you can help them, and then they will believe, and then they will take the actions. But if you're like, oh, well, I think we could try, and maybe, I just put this little thing together, then how much action are they going to take? So it's not just your duty to own the value of your services for yourself so you can profit. It's so your clients can profit. Now, as I mentioned, I'm a Christian empowerment coach, and I definitely was taught to serve and not sell, to the point where my first business, it was a nonprofit, and I made $500 in 3 years. I built a 3-figure business. These are the things that most people won't talk about until you've bought into their program, right? And then I made shifts. God is so amazing. I made different shifts in 2017. And in 2017, I had my first 15K month. How do you go from having a business where yes, I made money in my day job, but how do you go from making $500 in 3 years to having a business where you make your first $15,000 month? I made shifts, and I call these shifts the rich girl mindset. right? Because we are, whether we realize it or not, infinitely redeemed and rich. And I teach you how to make the shifts that I made in my challenge Rich Girl Mindset. Comment Rich Girl below and we will send you the link. And for those of you who may be like I was, and the word rich is triggering, I just want you to understand. We're going to go into it in the challenge. So if it's triggering you, you definitely need to sign up. If it's not, you need to sign up. But understand that this is a biblical based challenge, right? And God is our provider. And we are not building financial riches just to enjoy for ourselves. We are building them as a resource for God to use our business as a vessel to be a blessing to someone else. I look forward to seeing you inside. Thanks for watching.